Okie dokie doo.
Recording.
Yes, we are. Welcome to this week's YAWA. We are here and we are ready to chit chat with you all. We have a couple fun things to talk about this week. First of all, I've got some new pigeons coming. This is kind of an exciting thing. So I've got legit homing pigeons. Any of y'all that follow our homing pigeon videos, the little vlog things that I put out, we got some really cool updates to show you. Some new stuff's coming in, and also with that is coming some pigeons. I don't know exactly how this works. I ordered them and I'm gonna have to play it by ear a little bit and see, but I think essentially
Pigeons in the mail.
Yes.
I mean,
it has to cool down a little bit as part of it, I think.
Probably, but it's crazy to me that you can order pigeons from Pennsylvania through the mail.
Yeah, essentially they come in a box and then you go to the post office and pick them up.
So we'll see how this happens, how this works, and we will keep you posted.
Definitely we'll be vlogging it, so everybody should stay tuned for that. Next thing that we've got is later this month, which is actually
next week.
What? Kat and I are going fishing in Alaska.
Which we wanted to do forever, and
This has been like a 10-year attempt at planning this.
Yes. And finally we have a little more flexibility and the ability to do this, and
enough help from our team, essentially.
Which is hugely important. We have a litter going home right before this, so we will be puppy litter free, which makes a big difference as well.
Yep. And so this was my anniversary gift to Kat.
Which is really cool.
And it was supposed to be a surprise. It was supposed to be essentially me giving her plane tickets. I don't know. I had planned on like a week ahead of time so that she would have time to plan a little bit. But
because I like to plan things.
And you need enough people to fill out a boat. So I talked to some of our buddies and I was like, hey, I'm trying to plan this as a surprise thing for Kat for our anniversary. So some of you know, if you watch our channel, if you don't, and this is the first video that you're finding of ours, you should hit the subscribe button, go back through some of the other ones. In one of our previous YAWA videos, we had our buddy on who is a veterinarian of Texas.
Dr. Peter.
Dr. Peter Armstrong, DVM. I don't know. This is a silly inside joke. But essentially, I said, this is a surprise deal. You guys in? Yep, in. I said, okay, this is the deposit. I paid the deposit if you guys want to send me your parts. And what does he do? He sends it to Kat via PayPal.
Because I keep track of the PayPal and books and invoicing.
Listed with Alaska trip.
I'm like, what is this Alaska trip?
What do we do? What is Peter doing in Alaska? Why is he sending us money? I'm like,
this is going to be hard to explain.
The only way I can make it through this is lying, and you're going to see through all of that. So I got an early surprise, which actually I truly appreciate Ethan trying to surprise me. And I am really glad that it got blown because I need time to plan. And a week would have definitely not given me enough time to get the appropriate deck boots and make sure that I got rain gear because it's not a balmy 90 degrees out up in Alaska right now. We're looking at maybe 60 degrees, plus we'll be on the ocean halibut fishing, so it's going to feel cooler and colder than that. So I need a chance to make sure I've got the appropriate attire. We will be fishing with Captain Liska, I believe is how you say that.
On the Viking?
On the Viking, which is a pretty good-sized boat out of Seward, Alaska. And we're doing an overnight fishing trip, so we will be bombing out, I think 5 hours, they said, which I don't know exactly how many miles that will be, but a long way. I would assume we won't be able to see land in any direction. And that's where we should be able to go potentially find the bigger boys when it comes down to halibut fishing. So we're both really excited.
Yeah, and I'm super excited. But I wanted to mention when I was looking for proper attire, and I get asked a lot, what kind of clothing do you wear? Blah, blah, blah. What do I recommend? And I actually found a new pair of pants. So I want to share that with you ladies that are watching. A new pair of pants that I absolutely love from Eddie Bauer. They're their Pro Guide pants, and they have two styles. They have more like a narrow legged, crop pant style, and then a regular straight leg style. And I have both, and I love them both. Super comfortable, They are moisture wicking and have a little bit of stretch, so they've got some comfort, but I really like them. I plan on bringing them with me to Alaska, as well as I've been wearing them in the field around here already, and they are great. So check those out if you're looking for a good field type style pant.
For summer. It's a spring summer type of thing.
Yeah, they're not super thick. They're not going to like be my go-to hunting
pants.
Yeah, they're not my go-to hunting pants for South Dakota or anything like that. But for spring, summer, early-ish fall field stuff, they're going to be perfect for training and bombing up to Alaska and things like that.
Absolutely. Everybody always wants to know, what are we drinking today? Just a good old-fashioned Michelob Ultra. So...
And I'm
schmancy here.
And I got my go-to Bud Light Chelada.
And for those of you in New York that don't know what this is what people call a red beer.
A red beer, yeah.
You can order them at a bar. They just bring you tomato juice. This has got clamato juice and some spices, bottled by Bud Light.
And even if you try and recreate
no Busch
this,
latte, but
if you really try and recreate this on your own, you're going to come close, but it's not going to be this good.
Pretty much.
So I want to answer a question.
Okay, so before we get into questions, I want to explain this to everybody that's listening right now.
Right. This is important stuff.
This is very important. Sirens and all that stuff. First of all, we are only taking questions now off of YouTube. So if you're watching or listening to this now, you need to be bebopping into the comments. Tell us what you think about what we're wearing, what we're doing, or better yet, ask us a question that then we can answer for you next week. All right, let's get started.
Okay, so here is a question from 04 Reno Star.
Oh, yeah.
One question that I haven't heard you talk about yet is transitioning a puppy from spending the night in his crate to spending the night in a bed.
Don't do it.
We have a young... German Shorthaired pointer, 17 weeks old, that's awesome at sleeping in his crate through the night.
Okay.
Hasn't had an accident in the house for over a month now either. We figure he is still too young to trust in the bedroom outside his crate through the night right now. But when would you look to transition away from crating at night? And I thought that's a really good question.
It's an excellent question. We've made that mistake multiple times, haven't we, Kat?
I don't know of which you speak, honey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good question. And we typically have our go-to answer of about a year. That just typically means that the dogs are more mature, definitely have lots of bladder control, as well as have had a lot more obedience training. Typically, we want dogs that are already understanding and collar conditioned to stay on a dog bed. Not that we're asking them to wear their collars overnight to stay on a dog bed, but once we have a really good understanding of obedience training, and collar conditioning to stay on the dog bed, that understanding is really strong. And so if they wander off their bed in the middle of the night, you can ask them to kennel and they know what that means. It's been reinforced and they can get back on their dog bed. We have some of our personal dogs that like to creep around to my side of the bed because our bedroom's set up with the bed in the middle of the room, dog beds along one side of the room where the windows are, which is on Ethan's side of the bed. You go around the bed to my side and then the door to the rest of the house. And the dogs know that I'm the softie, so they'll around to my side of the bed, put their head on the bed and be like, please let me in bed with you. And depending on the night and if Ethan's there or if he's gone, I will either say, yeah, come on up, or I'll be like, no, get back on your beds. And then they know back to their beds. So, and that's all of our mature dogs. You know, Nix is really good about asking to get in bed. He wants in bed any opportunity he gets, and he's 8 years old. So he's not getting into anything, but he's definitely not staying on his dog bed all night long. No. Or most nights he is, but then there's those opportunities where he wants to try and get in bed with us.
What you end up with a dog that's under that year mark sometimes is more of a dog that has some busier type of energy. And when we have attempted with slightly younger dogs that are really clean and well-behaved and do all of the things, sometimes stuff gets into overnight where We've lost quite a few decorative pillows where in the middle of the night they've wandered over and
found a pillow, so they chewed the corner off. I think I'm down to 2 decorative pillows out of...
Started with like 22. So
there was not 22. Yeah. There was... no.
22. There might have been 6 or 8 or something.
11. There were 11. There were 11 decorative pillows. And
some of them real small like. Some of them real big.
And we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
And 2 of those are chewed still. They just haven't.
No, those are still on the bed. Those are still on the bed. But I can't get rid of them because I need something to replace them, and I haven't figured that out yet. So they just have corners chewed off of them.
So the answer is
never.
Do what we say, not what we do.
Pretty much.
But ultimately what it comes down to is the older the dogs are, typically the less chance you have of losing your stuff.
Yeah, or they get into the garbage. You know, sometimes when we've got younger dogs up, that we'll make sure we close the bathroom door so that they don't wander into the bathroom, dig through the trash, scatter that all over the bedroom. These are all things that have happened. So believe me, we've tried to see, hey, can we let a younger dog up? And it always seems like if it's just one, if we just let one dog be up, they're much better behaved than when we've got 4 or 5 all up at the same time. Yeah. It's like they feed off of the excessive short hair energy that's accumulated in the room. And they're like, oh, we can all get into stuff. Sounds great.
They're stronger together.
Yeah. So, I would definitely say waiting. You've got a 17-week-old puppy that's doing great in the crate, doing great overnight. Let's not set them up for failure. Let's keep building on that success and working through some of the more distance, duration, distractions of place training. That's going to make your puppy a lot more solid when it comes to staying on a dog bed. Because if your puppy can't stay on a dog bed through distractions and duration during the daytime, when you're able to keep your eyes on them and focused and, you know, correct them if they make a mistake, they're definitely not going to be able to stay on that dog bed overnight when you aren't able to pay attention.
Correct.
So that was a really good question.
Bebop, ba-doop-a-doppa.
Oh, we have another announcement to make. I want to make it. Can I make it? I'm going to make it. So.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, you do. Well, he doesn't know what the announcement is that I'm going to make, but he knows
y'all
about
are about
this.
to learn something that maybe we should have learned me on beforehand.
No. This is from Garrett Tan. It's just a comment, not a question. Can't wait for the 50,000 subscriber video now. Awesome content as always. Well, thank you, Garrett. And if you guys don't know what the 50,000 subscriber video is, we talked about what we're going to do at 50,000 subscribers.
50!
Which we're just over 40,000 now. So hopefully it won't take too much longer. So subscribe.
At the rate at which we're growing right now, it should take 3 months. How long do you guys think that you can cut that down by? That's my question.
Yeah, because like there's 65% of people that watch this stuff, all our content, that don't subscribe. So subscribe, get us there faster, and hear the origin story of the pink gun.
Yeah, baby.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, baby.
So I wanted to just mention that because we mentioned it before, but if we don't keep mentioning it, nobody's going to subscribe and get us there faster because I want to have Ethan share this story. Okay.
Kat hasn't even heard it.
That's not true. False, Black Bear. So this is a question that I want to answer.
Name that reference. You'll get a gold star.
You'll get a thumbs up from us on the comments. We might even heart it. Can we heart those? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll heart it. So this is a question from Chet Cotton. He is actually a patron.
So is Garrett Tan.
Oh, Garrett. I didn't know Garrett was too. And he just got a puppy. So awesome possum.
Yep.
This is a question from Chet. He said, what temperature ranges are safe for my GSP to travel in his crate in the back of my truck? And how do I expand that safe range? What tips and tools can you share? And I thought this was a really good question to answer because right now we still have some pretty hot afternoons. We're moving towards the direction of hunting season. So hoping, fingers crossed, for some cooler weather. And then obviously as it continues cooling off, we're going to get cold. It's going to get winter. You're going to go north, things like that. So we need to make sure that we're advocating for our dog and being safe for them. So I wanted to talk about safe temperature ranges for them. And then he had mentioned like tips and tricks to expand that range, which I think he's probably referring to maybe kennel covers or fan systems or dog trailers or bringing the dogs into the vehicle. So I thought that was a good one that we should answer today.
Yeah. So the biggest part with that is going to be there's a lot of factors that play into it. First of all, temperature or ambient temperature is not the only one that you can look at. It can be 85 degrees outside and cloudy and it not feel as hot or be as hot on them as 85 degrees and bright and sunny. I think everybody has had the opportunity to experience that at some time. It's like, it doesn't really feel like 80 today. It feels cooler or whatever. And that's going to play into that with the dogs. The next side of it is any kind of wind and what direction that wind is coming from. Because you could be 85 degrees and have a north wind that's cooling you, even though you're still in the 85 degree range. The other side of it would be anytime you have those.
Or you could have a south wind that it feels like winds. A convection oven.
Yes. Humidity is going to play a big role in that too. So if you have the quote unquote dry heat, all you Arizona fans know what I'm talking about. Represent. Or you have
You're not from Arizona.
No, but I want you all to represent. Comments, people. So the next side of it would be, though, if you go easterly, like where were you? Fort Knox, Kentucky. Is that right?
Oh, my gosh. That was so humid.
It's kind of a fun early story. When Kat and I were still dating, I rode with her mother 15, 18, 20 hours, something.
A long way.
And at that point in time, I'd only met her one time. But she and I drove all overnight. We had an interesting snafu in St. Louis in the middle of the night in the wrong part of town when we got off. And this was before we had MapQuest printed off, right? So
no GPSs on the phone.
Got turned around a little bit, trying to get back to where we needed to go. And anyhow, drove all night, get out of the car, and was hit by this wall of
humidity.
Yes, it was like, took my breath away. Couldn't breathe at all for a few seconds while I was getting used to that. And so that's something that definitely needs to play into consideration here. All of these factors. So it's not just temperature, but you need to be able to read the dog. I mean, if you're standing outside sweating and you can't stand it, your dog is probably feeling the same pain, even though it can't sweat to actually cool itself down. So all of those things being said, I think if you're on the subcategory of 80 degrees, have plenty of air movement and ventilation, and you're not in direct sunlight, you're going to be all right.
If not, bring them into the cab.
Pretty much. There are some trailers that have air conditioners. Those are a good option. There's been a few times where we've bumped into that, where we're warmer than that. And things that we've done to help the dogs is waited until the evening to drive or got up
so there's
really
not that
early.
Direct hot sunlight.
Yep. Waited some time period out to fall into the cooler zones of the day. And then the other side of it, and there's a lot of mixed opinions on this, so you can look it up or you can write it down, tell us what we did wrong. But ice. I threw ice in a lot of buckets to cool dogs down, cool down the aluminum boxes that they're laying in. And that only lasts for so long, but a lot of times it melts, the dogs get wet, then the air blowing over them helps to cool them down
and
as well.
And we've even soaked dogs down, hosed them down, got them completely wet before they've been in their boxes with the fans running and stuff to give us a little bit more cooling effect because like Ethan said, they don't sweat. So that evaporative cooling, they can't produce for themselves. So if we can create that for them with wetting them down and then having that air movement, that will help them cool as well.
Yeah. One time, I think it was, we were somewhere and we had to be home for something. And it was like, we need to get these guys home. We need to get home safe for them and everything else. And we probably stopped every hour to wet them down.
That was headed back from Brewster.
Yes, it was headed back from Brewster. And what we were avoiding was a giant hail storm. I mean, it was, and we almost made it out of there in time, and the side of the truck turned into hamburger, but we got away from it. But they were,
and then it cooled down, guys.
It cooled down real fast. Yeah. So anyhow, it was. There've been some times where we've been traveling where it'd be on that edge of comfort level, and those are some of the things that we've done with ice and cool water and fans and everything else to try and help. And there's a difference between what's ideal and what's doable, and then what's dangerous. So.
And if you're not traveling with multiple dogs in a trailer situation, definitely if you're on that verge of, I don't know, just bring them in the cab. It's going to be overall better for them, not as stressful for them to be in a cooler environment. And then the opposite can be said for too cold of temperatures. We definitely don't want them.
I think that's the one that gets overlooked way more than too hot. People go, it's hot outside, I should probably
keep them in the cab. Yeah. Yep. And people think that the dogs, they've got these fur coats, they can handle colder temperatures, but they're back there shivering their butt off and burning calories and losing weight just to try and maintain body temperature.
And that's the side of it that people miss is it's, again, like I just mentioned, what is ideal, what is manageable or dealable with, and then what is dangerous. And there's a lot that fall into the dangerous category that dogs can survive, but they burn. I can look up a statistic. I don't know if I'll even be able to find it in this episode, but it's something to the extent of 10 times more calories shivering than they do even exercising. Something ridiculous like that. So it's why dogs go, when you're in colder temperatures and everything else, they turn to skin and bones real fast.
Yeah. So definitely insulated crate covers, insulated trailers,
hay,
bedding. Yep.
Yeah, bedding. So the ticket with that would be straw. Straw has more insulating factor than what grass hay, which is what I said first, hay, and even better than like cedar shavings or anything. But some form of insulator would be good.
Yep. And then again, bring them inside. Bring them in the cab if you are ever unsure of what temperature they can withstand.
Absolutely. Great question. That's all we have time for in part 1. We're going to take a short break and we will be right back with you.